Well, students, in this session we will take up the topic of the typification, nomenclature, types, as well as the naming principles. What are the principles for giving the name to a plant, and what are the typification? So, the typification is in order to achieve stabilization of names. The code has laid much emphasis on the typification of the taxa, and it was first started in 1892 by the Rochester Code, USA, the Botanical Congress, International Code of International Congress. Botanical Congress was held in Rochester, and the code published in 1892. In that code, the typification was adopted. While in 1918, Committee on Nomenclature of the Botanical Society of America framed a type-based code largely based on the type concept. So, when it started, it started since 1892 by the American Rochester Code. What was the nomenclature type? Nomenclature type, according to the code of ICBN, or International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, recently it has been renamed as the International Code of Nomenclature for algae, fungi, and plants. The application of name to taxonomic group is governed by the nomenclature type. This rule, previously applicable to the rank of the family, are below, but now it is on the genus and species. However, now it is extended to the name of the taxa of higher ranks when the name are ultimately based on the generic name. Previously, it was only for the family, rank of the family, and now it is the higher rank as well as the generic name is also. The nomenclature type, it is a representative element of the taxon. When any author publishes a account of the species, the original plant on which the description is based is deposited in any standard herbarium. When we were talking about the herbarium technique, then I reminded you that you have to collect four specimen, four individual of the same specimen, same species, you can say. So at least four individuals you have to collect, and regarding that, the field diary also having the four tags bearing the same leaf number. So you have to attach one tag with each individual of the same species. So out of that four individuals, you have to deposit one individual at your national herbarium. That is the property of your nation, wherever you are, wherever you are working, whatever the country is. But the original specimen, out of four, one has to be deposited to your national herbarium. This type of specimen becomes a nomenclature type of the specimen and is associated with the specific name given on its basis. The nomenclature type in which the name of a person who has given the name to the plant for the first time is permanently attached, and that is the nomenclature type. As the type specimen, it is one that is ultimately associated with the name of the taxon. The taxon is a term which can be referred to any one category, but it is not category in the classification system. But you can refer to any one category, either it is the division, or it is the class, or it is the order, or family, or species. We have talked about the taxon in detail. I have already talked to you. So taxon type of species is a species. For a family, it is a genus, or it is order or family. That is, the term can be used for any category. For example, the Rosa indica. Rosa is the genus, of the family is the Rosaceae, and the order is the Roselles. So we can say that the taxa of the Rosaceae, taxa of the genus Rosa, whatever it is, the Magnolia grandiflora, the Magnolia is the genus, and the Magnoliaceae is the name of the family, and Magnoliaceae is the order. Sorry for the interruption. Then the type. An object that serves as the basis for the name of taxon is called as the type. I already told you. The object that serves as a basis for the name of the taxon is known as the type. It means the person who given the name to a plant for the first time is to serve as nomenclature type. This type specimen which serves to illustrate the defining characters of the species or the genus. On that basis, we can identify further. So this would be the type specimen. The type forms the basis for taxonomic description, and the taxonomic description contain mainly the feature of the type. The type of the family is the genus, and that of genus is the species, whatever it is. And there are the basic types, several types, there are several types, kinds of types are there recognized by the court. So these are the holotype, isotype, syntype, paratype, lectotype, neotype, schizotype, and merotype. And there are some other types, though they have defined, but they have not still recognized by the court. For example, the clastotype, topotype, etc., etc. So some more may be there, but these are the types which have been recognized by the court. So first we have to take up the holotype. Holotype is the specimen collected by the original author based on single gathering defined by that original author, and for describing a new species will be served as holotype. That is what the basic feature, what is the basic characteristic of the holotype. If you are a person who is going to describe a species for the first time in that area, and you are the original author who have collected the plant, you are original author who are going to describe the species for the first time in that area and wanted to publish, then you have to mention as a holotype. This holotype bearing the field book number, whatever it is, but it based on the single gathering, because if there are the specimen which complete specimen, I have told you, complete specimen is that it having the root system, shoot system, flowering, fruiting, etc., etc. So there may be some possibility that some plants flowering in the winter season and fruiting in the summer season, so it can't be collected with all the stages. So the flowering stage you have collected in month of the January, while in the fruiting stage we have collected in month of the March and April. So during this you have made another excursion for the collection purpose. So their field book number will be of different. So it will be based on the different gathering. So but here it is the holotype is that specimen on which the based on the single gathering and described by the original author, selected from the single gathering, selected from the single gathering and described the origin by the original author for a new species. So then you have to designate a holotype for the publication, and this holotype must be deposited at your national herbarium. So out of that four individuals of the same species which you have collected and you have wanted to describe as a new species, you are the original author, then you have selected out of four, one individual you have selected for describing a new species, then you have to mention as a holotype. Then what will happen about the rest three? Rest 3 will be the, you can say, the duplicate of the holotype. Out of 4, suppose specimen A, B, C, D. or you, instead of A, B, C, D, you have to write A, A, A. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 individual of same species. So out of these 4, and this bearing the same field book number because it based on single gathering. Single collection. So suppose it bearing the field book number, it is suppose it is 10. So this one bearing the 10, this one bearing the 10, this one bearing the 10, and this one bearing the 10. So out of these 4, one you have selected for describing a new species. So this one you have to mention as holotype. Okay. And rest 3, how to define? Rest 3 you can call duplicate of the holotype. So these duplicates will be called as isotype. How to define the isotype? Any duplicate of all these 3 will become the isotype. This will become the isotype. This will become the isotype. And again this will become the isotype. So all these 3 will become the isotype. Only one become the holotype, and you have to deposit this holotype to your national herbarium. This is the property of the nation. So this is the isotype. Isotype can be defined as the any duplicate of the holotype will be defined as isotype. Okay, and bearing the same field number, no doubt, because it based on the single gathering, made by a single person. So it will be bearing the same field number. That's why it will become the duplicate of the holotype. Okay. Then syntype. Suppose these 4 individuals bearing the same field number made by a original author based on the single gathering, and unfortunately during the publication, though it is the collectors found the new species, and unfortunately he forgotten to mention the holotype. So what will happen when it is not, this one is not the holotype? You have to forget it to mention the holotype. When the holotype is not there, then isotype will also be not there. Why? Because isotype, whenever you have to mention the holotype, then you can say the duplicate of the holotype will be of the isotype. But there is no holotype. You have forgotten to mention the holotype. Then, sorry, whenever the author forgotten to mention the holotype, then all the specimen, all the 4 individual will become the syntype. All will become the syntype. Okay. It is one of the 2 or more specimens cited by the author of a species when no holotype was designated. Holotype was not designated by the author at the time of the publication, though he described a new species, but unfortunately he forgotten to mention the type. Then it would be mentioned as syntype. Isotype is conditional. When the holotype is mentioned, then the duplicate of the holotype will be known as the isotype. And if holotype is not mentioned, then automatically the isotype will not be there. Then all the four individuals will become the same type. Okay. Then the lectotype. The specimen selected from the original material by the competent worker, who the author who is going to publish as a type for describing a new species, and he unable to concern the holotype because holotype was not designated by the author at the time of the publication, but their description is there. The holotype is not available, or it is destroyed, or the author has forgotten to publish the holotype, then there is no isotype. Then all the specimen will be of same type. When the specimen selected for describing a new species or holotype was not there, then the description is available, then he matches the description that exactly matches with their specimen, then he has to mention the lectotype. And whenever you selected the lectotype out of these four individuals, holotype you are unable to concern, or it was destroyed, or it was missing, or it was whatever the condition is there, and the description of their holotype publication is available, your material exactly matches with the description of the holotype it was published by the original worker, then you have to mention lectotype. Will be lectotype. One will be the lectotype, and what about the rest? Rest will be of paralectotype. Holotype, when you have mentioned the holotype, then rest will be the isotype. When you have to mention the lectotype, then rest 3 will be of the paralectotype. The individual which left after mentioning the lectotype will be known as paralectotype. Okay. Then the paratype. Suppose at one gathering you have made an excursion in the month of the January, and you have collected material only in the flowering stage, and after 2 or 3 months again you made an excursion, you've made a field trip, and you collected the same material, same species, same individual in the fruiting stage. Their field book number, their number what were available at your field notebook will be of different, and you wanted to describe a new species, then you have to select that species that based on the different gathering will be mentioned as the paratype. It is a specimen other than the isotype or the holotype. When 2 or more specimens have cited as type by the author, remaining cited specimen are called zootype or paratype. That is based on the 2 different gathering, you can see. So that will be of the paratype. Then the neotype, a specimen selected when no original material is available. No material is available. What does it mean? Suppose all the original material has been destroyed, has been lost. Suppose the tsunami is there. So your herbarium, national herbarium has been lost, or it has been wiped out, or the fire, very dangerous fire has been taken there. What will happen? All the herbarium has been destroyed with that fire. So your original holotype is also destroyed, or it has been lost in flood. Whatever the condition it is, any natural calamity, due to any natural calamity, due to that your original holotype has been lost. Then, but their description is available. Then you have to describe, to mention as a type will be of neotype. Then the mirror type. Suppose, sorry, your holotype has become very much old and it has been destroyed. Only some fragment you have got of that holotype, the original material. Suppose it has been tear off. This is the holotype. This is the specimen, that is the sheet mentioned as holotype, and it is tear off into different segments. So out of these different segments, one segment you have to mention as mirror type. It is any fragment of a original type you have to define like that. Any fragment of the holotype is be mentioned as mirror type. Whatever the number of the fragment is there, is it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it is, any one piece of the holotype, any one fragment of the holotype will be mentioned as mirror type. Then the schizotype. Schizo means, in Latin, schizo means to split. As I was talking about the Latin language, I said that the Latin language is the self-explanatory. So how I have given an example of the self-explanatory example, schizosacromyces. So schizo means to split. So here the schizotype. What does it mean? Schizo means to split. Any fragment of a type, whatever the type is there, either it is the isotype, it is the syntype, or the lectotype, or it is the paratype, or it is a neotype, whatever it is, but not the holotype. Any fragment of a type, but not the holotype. If the fragment of the holotype, then it will be mentioned as merotype. But except the holotype, any fragment of a type, whatever it is, then you have to mention as schizotype. Okay. Any fragment of a type is known as schizotype. Paralectotype, I have already told you when you have to mention, this is described in 1984. Propose one more type, the paralectotype, for the specimen which is left after the selected of the lectotype. I have already told you. Whenever you have to mention the lectotype, the rest three will be of the paralectotype. And these are the, then come to the nomenclature synonyms, or you can say, sorry, nomenclature terminology, what the terminologies are used for the nomenclature or the nomenclature type. And there is one terminology I have already told you, that the effective and valid publication of name. In the, I have already told you the effective valid publication. In effective valid publication, the botanical and taxonomic nomenclature, the concept of effective and valid publication are critical for ensuring that the scientific name are recognized and accepted within the scientific community. Effective means when the name is published by the botanist, real botanist you can say, and it is accepted by all over the world, different botanists, different taxonomists, then your publication will be effective. And if it is according to all the rules of the publication, then it will be called as valid publication. Valid publication. The effective publication refers to the dissemination of a name in a manner that makes it accessible and permanent, while valid publication requires adherence to a specific rule and criteria established by the taxonomy. Effective publication is referred to the dissemination of a name. That manner has, according the manner which has been described by the code, if you have followed that manner and published the name, then it will be effective. And valid when it follow all the rules of the code. If you have published the name according to the rules of the code, then it will be called as valid publication. The validly published name is sense of the botanical nomenclature. It fulfills all the requirement of the International Code of Nomenclature. It means the published name, the validly published name which follows all the rules of the code, then that will be called as valid name. The name were published earlier to the 1st January 1935 are considered as valid in description with the diagnosis when not in Latin, give a clear indication of the rank, designated a type and a location, published in a scientific journal, follow the rules of the nomenclature which is decided according to the most recent code. These are the criteria for the valid publication. Give a clear indication of the rank. The rank you have to mention, whether it is the species rank, or the genus rank, or it is the family rank, or it is the order rank, or it is the class rank, whatever they are. But you have to mention the rank of the identification, then designation, designate a type, then published in a scientific journal, not in the newspaper or in a local magazine. In the scientific journal, you have to publish and follow all the rules of the code, then it will be called as the valid publication. And rejection of the names, the botanical nomenclature, rejection of a taxonomic name is the formal process governed by the International Code of Nomenclature. This process ensures that the name used in the scientific community is valid and unambiguous and consistent with the established rules. If it is not like that, then it will be rejected. And legitimate names and illegitimate name. Legitimate name, validly published name, that is accordance with all the rules of the code, that will be called as the legitimate name. And illegitimate, if it is going against one or more rule of the code, that will be called as illegitimate name. As in case of the family name, the 8 families, Poaceae, that is the Gramineae, the Leguminaceae, that is the Fabaceae. So all these 8 families are the illegitimate, but they are valid there because the code has given a special permission according to Article 18 that these names, these 8 names has been conserved in the code. So illegitimate name is that goes, though it is validly published name, but it doesn't follow one or more rule of the code. So it will be called as the illegitimate name. Then effective publication, a name may be rejected if it is not effectively published. For the condition I have already told you. This includes name published in the format that are not readily accessible or permanent, such as unpublished manuscripts or local newspaper. Additionally, names lacking essential components like the typification, Latin diagnosis, they are also rejected. If it is not according to the rules of the code and not doesn't have any Latin diagnosis or the typification, not mention the type and not published in the scientific journals, either it is published in the newspaper or local magazines or in magazines any other magazines, then it will be the ineffective publication. It will be rejected. The effective publication requires the name is distributed in a printed, permanent and accessible form, accompanied by a description or reference to the description of the taxon. Then it will be called as ineffective publication. Then the synonyms, the terminology is also used, the synonyms. I have told you what are the synonyms. Talking about the International Code of Nomenclature, then we have told you the synonyms. There are the two types of the synonyms, nomenclature synonyms as well as the taxonomic synonyms. The nomenclature synonyms is that synonym, these are the names which are based on the same type, usually known as homotypic synonyms. For example, Enamia, uh, Enamia albiflora, the Clistoria albiflora, they are the based on the same type. Zanskar collected the Thomas and preserved the key, hence we are known as the nomenclature type. Then the taxonomic type, these, the first you have to know that the nomenclature type is names which are based on the same type, while the taxonomic synonym, these are the names which are based on the different type described to belong to the same taxon is known as the taxonomic synonyms. Then the tautonyms I have already told you, in case of the botanical nomenclature, the tautonyms is invalid, while in case of the zoological nomenclature, the tautonyms is the valid. What are the tautonyms? In the binary name, when the generic name is followed by the exactly spelled out the specific name, or the specific name exactly followed by the generic name. Both the generic as well as the specific name or the exactly pronounced, exact spellings, exact pronunciation. For example, the line area, malus, malus. So these are the when the generic name exactly repeats with the specific name, or specific names is exactly repeat with the generic name. So these are called as the tautonyms, and tautonyms is totally illegitimate to the code and it is rejected. Then the homonyms. Homonyms is a name which is exactly spelled like validity published name for a taxon of the same rank based on the different type. The name which is exactly spelled like validly published name based on a different type. So a new name is required just to remove the first one, and a new name is required for replacing the name of the same rank. Then it will be called as homonyms. Homonyms is illegitimate and replaced by a new name. Just as taxon should have one correct name, the code similarly does not allow the same name to be used for two different species. Existing country constitute homonyms. The publish an earlier name, the earlier homonyms, and the later will publish the later homonyms. So later homonyms may be replaced by a new name. For example, if you can understand that the diastemon is collected by Weddell in 1857 and the family is the Urticaceae, and the same diastemon collected by the Bausch in 1884 and it is of the Canaceae. The family is the different, but the name is the same, and Of course, they are based on the different gathering, because the bout is collected by somewhere else, and the adult collected another place. And they define, they describe from different families. Then what happened? The Babu and Henry in 1970 collected the same specimen, that is the same species, diastema. So he found that the Weddell 1857 described diastemon as a member of the Articaceae, while the Bauch, who collected the diastemon and the collected dye specimen and given the name diastemon in 1884. It is of Canacea. So Henry and Babu found that the both the diastemon is the name is the same, but their character is different. But the name is the same, family is different. So what he did, what they did, they replace the later one by the new name diastemon. Diastemon, that is described the new diastemon as described by the Weddell, because the 1844 it is already established by the Bauch. So the later in 1857 he given the same spelling with the same name, but the family is the different. So the later name will be replaced by a new name. So Henry and Babu and Henry replaced in 1970 replaced the diastemon as a new name, neodiastemon. The isonames, item names based on the same type that has been published independently and the different type by different authors. Then only the earliest of these so-called isonames. Different authors, the name based on the different type published by the different author, though the species is the same, though that will be mentioned as the isotype, the nomenclature status, that will be mentioned as the isotype. Name is always be cited in the original place of the valid publication, and later isonym may be disregarded. Then the basionyms, superfluous name, that is called the basionym. If a name is required to replace the by the change or position of the rank, what does it mean? If a name is required by the change in position and rank of a taxon, then taken from the previous name. Suppose, for example, Brassica campestris is an established name, and Brassica rapa subspecies campestris. Sorry. So, Brassica rapa is, in case of the Brassica rapa, the Brassica campestris has to change the position of the rank. This Brassica rapa, Brassica campestris, instead of the species, it has to reduce the rank of the taxa. Instead of the species, it will go to the subspecies. So that will base Brassica rapa, base Brassica rapa subspecies campestris. So that will based on the Brassica campestris. The basic base is the Brassica campestris, but the campestris have been reduced to the rank. It was the Brassica campestris was a species. The campestris was the species, and now it has been reduced to another rank, lower rank, that is subspecies, and base that subspecies of the Brassica rapa. The base was the Brassica campestris. So new name must be based on the previous name. So in case of such names, the basionym is the name that required by changing position and rank of the taxon, and that will be based on the previous name. Then the nomen nodum, that is description, name published without any description, content, and classified as a nomen nodum. These names are considered invalid and rejected until they are accompanied by the proper descriptions. The details must be given in that case. Then the ambiguum. Ambiguum, the name is rejected, used the different sense by different authors become source of the persistent error. So that is also be rejected. Then the confusion. The name based on type with conflicting elements making it difficult to establish clear lectotype is are rejected. The priority of the name. Nomenclature is being the priority of publication. The earliest legitimate name is the correct name. So who have published the first and the correct name. So that will be given the priority. And later, if it is not published according to the rules of the code, so it will be not considered. And priority begins with the description of the species plantarum, that is May 1757. 53 applies for the rank of the family and below. The correct name of the species is the combination of the earliest published valid generic name and the earliest published valid specific name. That will be given the priority. Then the author citation. Each name must have the abbreviated from the authors according to Article 46 to 50 International Code of Nomenclature. The same provide the critical information about the history and legitimacy of the taxon is the name. Then the principle of the author citation. There are certain principles, the single author citation, the multiple author citation. How do you cite the single author? You cite the multiple author. Yeah, the Hooker F. At Thompson, these are the multiple author, and the Linnaeus, Solanum, Niagara, the single authorship is there. So there are the method to which we can add the using the at means multiple. Then the double citation, how would you cite the double author? These are the certain examples. For instance, have undergone change in the rank or position, or they are in original name, the original author's name is the cited, the parenthesis followed by the author which can made by the example Sanidon Dactylon. The Linnaeus has become in the parenthesis and Peirce is the Linnaeus is the original author and the Peirce is the author who made the change in the basionym Panicum Dactylon. So that has been the Linnaeus was that described by the Sanidon Dactylon, but the Peirce has made some changes and even panicum dactylon. So the Linnaeus will become in the parenthesis that will come into the bracket and the parts will be out of the bracket. So this is the double citation. Then correction, conservation of the name to avoid the disadvantage of the strict application of the rules of the priority international have authorized the conservation by widely used name, though they are not the oldest name. Namna conservata, there is Namna conservata is the appendix of the International Code of Nomenclature that provides the rules for the conservation of the names. These are the certain examples how to conserve the name. The commonly known as the wheat Triticum aestivum is the first species conserved, maintained widely recognized name over any earliest alternative. The Lycopersicus sculentum is also referred to a tomato and studied an economically important plant whose plant is preserved in consistently scientific communication. And Amaryllis. So this was all about the what you call the typification and the rules of the typification, type of the typification, the nomenclature type, the principles of the naming. So this was all about this topic. So hope students you are well aware of all these concept. I tried to make it clear. If there is a confusion, then go through in detail and read the types again and again. Try to understand the language, and the language which is given in the typification or language which are given in the code cannot be changed. So you have to follow as Toto the language because if you are describing in your own language the Suppose, for example, the name is required to change in position and rank of the species. So that is called as the basonym. So that must base on the previous name. So there are the concept you if it is not able to understand, then read it and again, and you will no doubt you will be able to understand the things. Thank you so much. Welcome students for the next session, and in this session we will discuss about the taxonomic hierarchy. First you have to learn what is hierarchy. Uh, Taxonomy, as you know, that is consisting of the three components that are the identification, classification, and naming of an organism is called as the taxonomy, and it is given by the Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus is the father of the modern taxonomy. He was the man who first given the rules for the binomial nomenclature, but later it was modified and the base were the use by the International Code of Nomenclature, botanical nomenclature. He was the person who gave the concept of the species and genus and given also some rules for the giving name to the plant. The taxonomy I have already discussed about the how you define the taxonomy on the basis of the three components that includes in taxonomy: identification, classification, and nomenclature of an organism. Then come to the taxonomic hierarchy. The taxonomic hierarchy is the process of arranging various organisms into successive level of the biological classification, either in a decreasing or increasing order, from kingdom to species or vice versa. What is? You have to maintain the rank. Hierarchy means a rank. So either it is from the upper side to the lower side, or it is from the lower side to the upper side of the species. The lowest rank is the species, the highest is the kingdom. So you have to arrange the rank of that. That is called as the taxonomic hierarchy. The each of this level of the hierarchy is called as the taxonomic category or rank. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. These are the certain rank. So these ranks you have to maintain. That is maintaining of the rank or categories according to their position from the highest to the lowest, or from the lowest to the highest. That is called as the hierarchy, taxonomic hierarchy. This is the if we take the example of the corn or the zea maize, so we can arrange like this the plant kingdom, then the phylum, the division, that is Magnoliophyta, that is the kingdom is the Plantae and the division is the Magnoliophyta, and the class is the Liliopsida, that is the monocot you can say. Then the order is the Cyprales, and the family is the Poaceae or the Gramineae or the grass family you can say. Then the genus is the Zea and species is the maize. So this is the called as the taxonomic hierarchy.